Hello, welcome. We got
We've got a guest, our first guest on the
the
show.
guest. First guest. This is my beautiful, wonderful girlfriend, Candice Torres. Torres. She is Latina. She is beautiful, and
Why are you stating
she
these things?
is because these are truths. You cannot.
We're the Truth Bros. We only say
We're the truth
truths.
bros. So we're bringing the truth, and this woman is wise. So wise. She has knowledge in here. There's nothing, there's no air in here. It's all full of knowledge.
I had to shave half my head off so more knowledge could come
So
through.
more knowledge can come through, you know? So here
Well,
she
so
is.
what are we gonna try to tackle today?
I do want to hit the ethics of meat.
You want to start with that? See where that takes us.
Yeah, see where that takes us. See where that goes. So, Candace, let's ask you
Let's go round the table.
around the table, starting with Candace.
The ethics of.
So, is it ethical, moral, and justified to eat meat?
Well, to say, is it moral? That's morality has a different definition for everyone. So, what one person thinks is moral is not moral to another person. So, I don't know if you can actually bring in morality.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it ethical? Is it justified? I don't believe so
Mm-hmm.
because there's tons and tons and an abundance of studies done that proves time and time again that humans don't need to eat meat. That we've evolved from times where we're not in a forest or a jungle, and that in order to survive, that we just have to eat food, and that we would have to kill an animal. That we have an abundance of food, especially in the Western world, that we waste on an everyday basis that doesn't involve killing animals. So, do we need to eat meat? No. And meat is more harmful than done because we're not cavemen anymore. We've evolved from that. We haven't. People say that we've evolved to eat meat. That's to me that's a de-evolution. Like why? Like meat is heavy. Your body does not process it well. It does not digest it. Why do you feel like you need to eat meat? That's just conditioning. That's what we learned. It's a sale tactic. It's to make money. That's it. Most of the things that we're conditioned to do is a way to make money.
Hmm.
The food industry is an exception.
I
Okay,
like it.
moving on to the next topic now. She just about covered everything, man. That's
She
pretty
just covered
good.
the whole shebang.
We got that out of the way. Now to astrology. Nah, that was good. I mean, she makes good points. Yeah, and I guess with morals, it is kind of true. Morals are, I guess, personalized from person to person, so we can't really put it across the board. But ethically, it just doesn't make sense for us to do it. These we know that these beings can feel just like we can, and yeah, they probably don't like it very much. I would imagine.
Even environmentally, it doesn't make any sense. California has a drought going, so a supposed drought happening right now, but if they cut even their factory farming in half, a lot of the water that they're quote unquote missing could go back to the state by just not using it for factory farming.
For sure. Have you seen Cowspiracy?
No, we need to watch that.
I'm gonna watch that.
So, well,
I
I
haven't
was
seen it.
telling Dante about that, and in it, the creator goes to these different protection agencies. He goes to like the Rainforest Protection Agency and the water conservative people. All the protectors of the environmental things, and he basically asked them about the agribusiness and what. Well, he said, well, isn't the agribusiness the largest impactor of all these things? And a lot of them refused to answer or just said that yeah, it's a factor, but all these other factors are more important. And so it was clear that all these agencies are either being bought out by the meat and dairy industry, or they're, it's somehow connected to them, which is scary. I mean, these are the people who are supposedly protecting our water, our rainforest, our trees, and they're under the wing of the meat and dairy industry. It's like, man. So we got a lot of work to do.
I mean, if you think about, like, if you do watch TV, and even if you don't watch TV, you think of, look around at media and advertisement. Why is food even being advertised? We need it. Like, why is milk being advertised? Why is yogurt, cheese, eggs? Like, if you really need those things, you don't need somebody to tell you.
Right. Yeah, your body will tell you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you don't see strawberries being on the cover of a magazine
Exactly.
or like commercials about blueberries,
Right.
like rolling
Yeah.
down the river.
And that's a really great point, actually. And that should be a clue to all of us that all this stuff that's being advertised is probably not in our best interest. You know?
Why? Like, why is it being advertised? What's
Yeah.
the motive? What is the motive behind that? Why do they want us to eat that?
Yeah.
It's definitely a deeper reason, and it even goes a little bit further than money, because money is just a exchange, a way to to trade services and goods.
Mm.
But I think that there is some, like, when we eat certain foods, it makes people a little bit slower, mentally, physically, emotionally, and people are easily controlled just by the foods they eat and the things that's put in the water, fluoride and chlorine, and things like that. But yeah, I guarantee if people were eating healthier, a lot better, they would probably be making better decisions, and they would be able to see a little bit more truths out there, things that the people higher up are trying to put over the majority of people. So I think that when people actually gain their health, then they'll be able to gain more insight and they'll be a bit wiser and see more truths.
Oh, yeah. Definitely the healthier you get, the more veils of illusion are unveiled.
Yeah.
The deeper down the rabbit hole you go.
Yeah, deeper, absolutely. So about the whole ethics, I think it's true. Animals, they don't want to be slaughtered. They run. You watch the factory farming videos and you see the animals in their eyes. They cry, they shed tears. They're animals that try to get out, try and bite the bars. They do everything that they can to leave. And if they feel that way, then why do human beings believe that we need to put animals through that suffering? What makes us better? What makes us what gives us the position to do that? And I think that violence really starts from childhood. Like, we learn to separate animals, to separate things, in the beginning, to separate, chicks, pickens, and pigs, and cows over
Pickens.
and pickens over, pickens. You caught that one. But we separate.
I haven't heard of that animal.
Oh, you haven't?
It's a new species.
It's a new
Is that-
species.
is that evolution?
It's a pig and a cow and a chicken together.
They must have evolved.
Yeah,
They must have evolved together.
Options.
Yeah. But we choose those animals to eat, and then we say, oh, okay, a cat and a dog is cool to have and chill with and pet and all that stuff. So.
Well, at least here, because like in China, they eat
They
those
eat those
animals.
animals.
Yeah. Dogs and
Yeah.
all that.
So it's really all backwards. It's so backwards. So There, it's the freedom. It's we People feel like they can control animals, they can do whatever they want because they're lesser beings, and they have all these reasons, but we have absolutely no right to put these animals into the conditions we put them through. They have no right at all, and we're taking away their freedom to roam around, their freedom to be in nature and to create harmony, which is what they're supposed to do, is just be free and create harmony. They're not out of sync with nature, but we are. So that's why we create so many problems in nature, but they're so in tune. So
I think too. I think that one of the big reasons why people don't move to veganism is because they have so much other crap going on in their life already. You know,
yeah,
I think they're dealing with so many personal issues. I think they're dealing with like, you know, their relationship problems, or they have problems within their own family, or they're having trouble with school, or they're having trouble with their career. Yo, you there?
oh yeah, sorry about that. I had to plug
Oh.
in my I had to charge it. But go ahead, keep
Oh.
going.
And and you know, I think that they just have so much going on, so much on their plate already, that to them, having to think beyond themselves and about these other beings is just like ludicrous. It's like, I already got so much going on in my own life. I can't, you know, who cares about these animals? It doesn't matter. You know, I feel like that's kind of um, a big part of a lot of people's attitudes, which of
Yeah,
course
I mean,
doesn't justify it whatsoever. But
right.
I think that
I mean,
that's
yeah, if you
something they
do
do.
look at, that's true. If you do look at how, like in the 50s or 60s, how many work hours a man and a woman, um, it's like it's increased. Like a man and a woman in the 50s were working way less, but able to get more. But then now, men and women, they work so many hours, they work so much, taking care of kids, but they get way less for what they're really making. So there's
Not
just so
just
much.
women though, like everybody.
Everyone, yeah, men and women,
Everybody
everyone.
is like a slave to the system, man.
Yeah, it's just the amount of work that we're putting out there is we get so much, like we get a lot less than in the 50s and the 40s.
And
Oh yeah.
you get less, or there's things aren't made out of quality anymore.
Yeah,
So things break so much easier. Like no
yeah,
one takes the time. Like in order to get things that are of value or that have any type of long-standing workability, they are expensive,
yeah, expensive. So it's just people are overworked and they have so much on their plate, they feel,
literally.
and literally, and so they have so much that they need to do and to survive that, yeah, you're right. It's an added pressure. It's an
Right.
added
It's like,
change that they need
yeah.
oh, I need to do this now, but I have this, and this, and this, and this to
Right.
survive.
It's too much work. It's too much work. Their food isn't like an issue right now, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's one thing that they enjoy out of their life. Eating
And
the
it's like,
crappy food.
yeah,
Like, don't take that away from me. That's one of the only things that I still enjoy in my life. You
yeah,
know?
that's pretty sad. I mean, that's,
It's a sense of
It is.
Because
hmm
food is more than just nutrition. It's for most people a sense of connection and like an emotional fulfillment that they find through
Oh
food.
yeah.
They're bored, they eat, they're happy, they celebrate, they're upset, they stuff. Like food has so many facets of what it can do. So it's like it's glorified because it can do so much for people. It nurtures you. So people are like, don't take away the only thing that I have. The only thing that I have control over was what I put in my
Right.
body.
hmm
Yeah. That's a good point. It makes people really feel in control when the rest of their life might be completely out of control.
yeah,
You know,
chaotic.
that's the only thing that they can really feel power over doing.
All right.
Yeah, but it's if they don't even realize that it could potentially be one of the greatest decisions they ever make, one of the biggest life-changing choices that they make in their entire lives.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They don't partake in suffering of other beings. That's definitely very liberating. When you choose not to partake in the cruelty of another life form. The violence.
It's just like outright violence.
Yes, and our society is very violent. We violate so many other people's free will. And when you start with, not violating animals, then you start to realize like, oh, well, I'm starting to strengthen my ethics and not trying to control and manipulate other people. So I think it starts with your food, and it starts with the animals. When you leave them alone, let them be free, and have fun, play with them. I saw a video of a pig jumping around, having fun with people. Like pigs are so carefree and like Bambi.
Oh yeah.
This pig was like Bambi, man. He was laughing, giggling, everything, jumping for joy.
Yeah.
Damn, man, it's Bambi.
And cows are the same way. Cows are like big dogs. They're so happy, and they're such playful creatures.
They're so emotional.
You ever see like those videos of like cows who've been rescued from like slaughterhouses, and they take them to a sanctuary, and like the first thing that they do is like they're like galloping through like the fields because they're free, and like they're getting to cohabitate with other cows who are not like in these awful conditions, that are actually happy and free and able to roam and not confined. Like it makes you think like that this animal had that response. A contrast. It was in this environment, and now it's in that environment. Like that's a big statement. That action is a big statement. Seeing that type of transformation in animals that people don't even think twice about. That like, oh, that's just the way it is. That's people's response. That's just the way it is. Like that requires no type of empathy, no critical thinking, no intelligence really. It's I will do whatever I've always done because that's what I've been told.
You are vegan, Candace, right?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, just making sure. Because I didn't. I didn't know actually. I didn't know. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, she's vegan.
That's good. Well, I mean, we only do make up like what 1% of the population. So I mean,
really?
The odds are not there for us.
1%?
Is it really 1%? No?
I think it's 1 to 2% of the entire population.
Really.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy? That's
crazy.
That's a low number.
It is. Well,
it's growing though.
It's growing.
It is.
It is growing.
Big time.
But I've been lucky enough. Luck was on my side to find another vegan.
Yeah. It's
I think the more people have these type of conversations and share it with others, then that opens up a door for more people to hear it. Even if they're not open to it, you plant a seed. And that's enough to just plant the seed and then let it do whatever it needs to do, and then people will make their transition in their proper timing. But you think like you're selling someone something and they're not being as receptive as you would like, but you see them like 6 months later and they're like, hey, I made the transition because one time you told me about this video and I watched it, and it's like amazing what you can do just by just sharing the information. Like, but in a compassionate, like in a truly genuine, like honest way, not like you're bad and like a demeaning type of way, because that automatically puts someone on a defense. And I think sometimes that happens in the vegan community.
It does, but
and it's hard not to.
I'm sort of torn between it. Yeah, because I mean, I like the way that I view veganism now is it's no different than how slavery was,
Yeah.
100 years ago or something. And I mean, like these things can't just be tolerated, and they can't just be like talked about kindly. Like these are innocent beings that are being like absolutely maimed, and we need to start like standing up for them. Like we got to put our freaking feet down. So like I mean, I don't know. I get really frustrated with the people who just give really dumb excuses for why they eat, or defending it really ignorantly. Like there's I just it's very frustrating.
It is frustrating. That's, I think, the challenging part is finding what is that medium. How can you express your passion and what is true while also delivering it in a way where people will hear you? Because that's ultimately like the bottom line. You want people to hear you because
Yeah.
if you're saying like people will shut down. So
Right.
if you're saying it in a way that it feels like attacking. So there's a way that you can say it where it still expresses this is critical, this is important, this needs to be addressed. This can't just continue to be this way, while also
Right.
communicating like, okay, well, you like because we've all been there, we've all like experienced what eating meat is like and what that conditioning is like. So we can place ourselves in their shoes as frustrating as it is. And of course it's not always perfect because sometimes people say really dumb shit and you want to like just shake them and be like, what do you mean? Like how do you not see it? But
Yeah.
people don't. Like the denial is so strong, the conditioning is so strong that giving just a
Well, and I
little
think
bit
it's
of time.
I think that I think there needs to be like a mix. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
like we definitely need to be calm when we're delivering the message, um, but really like show our passion about it.
Hmm.
But also when they try to rebuttal it, when they come back with these really bad rebuttals, I think that we need to like really put our foot down on it, and like it's unacceptable. Like stomp out stomp out the falseness, stomp out all the illusion. This isn't real, you know. Like we
Yeah,
just need to like like dismiss it immediately and teach them that no, that is not the truth.
yeah. I mean,
This is the real. Like instead of tiptoeing around it and being like,
right.
oh, it's okay that you enjoy your meat. Maybe if you could try vegan, like screw that. Like no, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is absolutely wrong on so many levels,
Yeah, I think
and here's why.
across
Right?
the
It's not
board.
just
Yeah,
yeah,
uh,
across the board, 100%.
yeah.
Our
I do
guest
agree
just
with
ran
you.
out on us, by the way.
She's cooking
To
fries.
to all the viewers out there,
She's coming
we
back.
lost our first guest.
She's coming back. She ran out. She's coming back. She's coming
It's not good for us.
back. Alba, I think
Not a
you're
good.
right. I
Go
do
ahead. Go
think
ahead.
you're right because it's just like with your child. If you
Right.
see your child
Exactly.
playing with
Mm,
fire, or you see your child about to put his hand on the stove, you take his hand and pull it away. It doesn't
yeah.
mean that you don't
Exactly.
love your child. It's just something
Right.
that you have to do something immediately, aggressively. Uh,
Right.
but
It's like it's being stern.
stern.
Like vegans need to be. This movement needs to. It needs to become stern in its approach. Like it needs to stand firmly on it and say, "This is the truth. This is the only way to do it." And like, not in a mean way, not in a condescending way, like we're better than you guys,
Right.
but just in a having that having that vindication, having that conviction,
Yeah.
um, of like we know this is the truth
Yeah.
and we're
And
standing by it.
yeah, and I was watching.
Because we still, like, people have been running away from defending it for so long now. Like, if somebody brings it up, the vegans are afraid to stand up for it. Like, afraid that they'll be afraid they'll be stepping on somebody's, like, personal beliefs of eating meat, as if that's a personal belief, right?
Yeah. Or like
It's
they
like-
don't want to have those conversations, or they don't want to stir up
Yeah.
the pot, or they don't want to.
Well, yeah. People take it as, like, this is my own personal belief to eat meat, so you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
It's like that's not fair, because your personal belief is
Violating someone
causing
else's-
suffering.
Yeah. I think that's where we get in the whole morals and ethics, is where, okay, like, you can do whatever you choose when it's not violating someone else's free will.
Exactly.
But when you do that, and you're doing it by eating meat, and by doing that, you are
Yeah.
taking away someone's free will. You are causing suffering. So I would say this is that there are laws, not these man-made laws like government and all this, the legal system, but there's laws governing our whole solar system. You know, there's laws governing like physics. You know, if you drop something, it'll fall down to the ground. If you trip, you're gonna fall. There's things that, like in nature, you have 4 seasons. You can't change that because if I'm gonna write a law stopping the 4
Yeah.
seasons. So there's laws to human behavior too. There's laws governing us and how we act. It's like, if there's laws for animals and for insects, and there's a whole ecosystem, and every animal has to follow the whole ecosystem, why isn't there a law that has us follow human behavior? You know, it's like we have to follow laws as well too. So
Yeah.
and there's laws to human behavior, and that law is don't
Don't violate.
Violate
Don't
another-
do things that violate others.
free will.
You know. Yeah, others' free will.
That's a law. That is a law governing our behavior. So when you
Yeah.
violate that, then you should be told to stop.
Right.
Stop
You
it.
should be told to I mean, really,
Stop it.
it's a violation of self first and foremost,
Yeah.
because you're not separate from what you are violating.
Mhm.
So when you violate that being and you then ingest it, you take all that in.
Mhm.
That is in you. Like, there's no escaping it. There's no, like, and it just reflects in dis-ease or in your emotions and the way that you think. So there, like, you can't get away from it. You don't think, like, I'm eating meat and I'm scot-free because I'm not the person doing it, but you're ingesting all the pain, the suffering, the anxiety, the fear, and people wonder why, like, they live such unhappy lives.
Mhm.
Mm.
Pain, suffering,
Yeah,
fear.
yeah, they're exactly.
Yeah.
They're suffering and they're in fear. Like, I wonder where that comes from.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's not good. Just to sum things up.
Something's up. To wrap it up, stop doing it.
To sum things up, it's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's. Anything else on
With ethics,
the moral aspect? I mean, I feel like we covered most of that.
I think so. Is when you violate another being's, you should be told that you're doing it, because I think people are just so unaware of themselves, and that the body will respond and say, like, I'm not supposed to be ingesting this. I feel a little bit sick, but we start to ignore it little by little, and the more we ignore it, then it just becomes, something that we just do. But I think when you ingest these things, your body immediately tells you that, no, this should not be going in my body. It should not. And
Oh yeah.
it's like your body's telling you that what you're doing is wrong. So, but when you don't listen to your body, then you have other
Right.
people out there, experts or people who've had these experience, have this knowledge, has this wisdom to say what you're doing is not right for your body and is also not ethical. And here's why.
Mm.
So
People will argue all day about this because they will say, "How do you know what's right for me?"
mm,
And
yeah,
on one sense, that could be true. It's a possibility, but the body, people's body isn't that much different than anyone else's.
it's like 99%,
Yeah,
like 1% difference. And that 1%
Yeah, all our bodies are going to react the same way, basically, to
basically, you know, in
everything.
some form or fashion, you know, I think, like, because my body, like everyone's body is a herbivore or a frugivore. You know, just because, you know, I eat vegetables and fruits and stuff and you don't, doesn't mean you're now like an omnivore or carnivore. We're not that different. Those are two different things genetically, and the way your physical body is made up. It's not supposed to eat that stuff. So, yeah, there's a like 1% difference in each of us, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But generally, we're all human.
Yeah, I mean, what's good for one of us is generally good for most of us, all of us.
But it'll affect each person a little bit differently. It's like one.
Oh, certainly.
Like, you know,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
say, "Oh, like my father, he drank and smoked till he was 90 and was still healthy." You know, you have those stories.
yeah.
But then it's like, okay, well, good for him, but it's still.
Is that really how you want to live your
Is that how you
Is
read
that quality of life?
it? Yeah, and it was still affecting his body. It was still not good for him.
Yeah.
So, I hear you
Yeah.
hear that all the time. Like, oh, my grandmother ate meat, and she lived till
Oh,
90,
yeah.
but she had a little bit of high cholesterol and a little bit of dementia. But
Yeah.
I don't want any of that. Don't give me any of it.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Only in a nursing home, but she's fine.
But she's 90 and she was living a long time. Like, no,
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah.
What do you think? When people say, my parents did such and such, so it's okay.
As like an excuse for them to do it?
Yeah. What do you think? Why do people use that excuse? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I don't hear that one terribly much. I mean, I usually hear the genetics. That's the big one that I hear.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's a total load of BS. I think that genetics probably make up maybe 5% or less of what actually happens in our lives.
Yeah.
Like some people might have a predisposition to prostate cancer, but that's only going to happen if they, do follow the lifestyle that leads to prostate
Exactly.
cancer. And the reason most of these people end up getting it, if their parents got it, is because they're following the same lifestyle that their parents did.
Right.
Because they grew up that way. So it's like that's the only way of life they know. They haven't broken that cycle
Right.
and become enlightened.
Right.
My parents still eat meat and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I was raised in that environment. I could very easily still be in that whole, in that whole belief system. And there's so many people that still are, right? They're still in that the belief system of their parents. They haven't broken out of it. And we all need to go outside of like where we came from and question it and question everything and make sure that what we're doing is truth.
Right.
The genetics thing just bugs me. That thing's annoying. it's such an easy excuse for anything.
It is.
Like for any ailment, it's such an easy excuse.
It is.
You know.
And the doctors tell
I
us.
mean, I know you've probably heard it so many times too as a personal trainer.
I have.
I mean, how many of these people come to us and say, "Oh yeah, I have arthritis. It runs in my family. It's genetics.
Yeah, and they hear it
My
because-
mother has it."
Yeah, they say that because their doctor says that, and the doctors
Eh,
say
right.
that because the schools teach that.
The doctors say it because they don't know
They
why it's like that.
don't know why. So it's a great
No.
answer for a question that they don't understand.
Exactly.
So.
Doctor, how did I get this disease? Well, it's in your genes, son. You couldn't avoid it. Sorry. Just the luck of the draw.
Yeah,
It's like the biggest BS. It all goes, it just, that whole mindset plays into the whole, that everything's random, that there is no God, there is no creator, there is no synchronicity, there is no patterns, it plays into that whole everything's random
yeah,
thing. That's what the whole genetics thing. Oh, it's just the luck of the draw. You just happen to be born to these people who gave you crappy genes. Sorry. But like those people could so easily heal themselves
Cool.
and really transform into something, into their higher selves, higher versions.
I agree.
I heard that so many times at the Y. It was like, God, it was so frustrating, dude.
Very frustrating.
And you know what else I heard too is, not only do they say that, but then afterwards they'll say, "Well, when you wait till you get to my age, son,
Yeah,
and then you'll really see." It's like, dude.
it's crazy.
And I would tell them, I'd say, "Yeah, you wait until I'm your age.
Mhm.
Like, look at how I am when I'm your age.
Right. Yeah.
I will be healthy. I will be disease free.
Right.
I will look 2 times younger than you do, old man."
Right. They say that. Oh, like
So they just try to convince you that that's the only that age is somehow,
yeah.
related to your health.
They do. They say, "Oh, wait until you get 50, or when you hit this arbitrary number, when you hit 50, or when you hit 40,
Yeah,
60, then
And
certain things
yeah.
happen." And it's like, come on now.
right. And of course that makes them feel somehow more powerful because they're telling you like, well, I'm this, it's like putting you down at this level and saying, well, I'm at this age, I've gone through all this.
Yeah.
There's no way that, and so of course they don't attribute it to their lifestyle, to their eating habits, to their stress levels.
It's like,
None of that matters.
yeah.
It's just because they're 60. It's the only reason.
Right. Just because of the number, age.
Yeah.
Something that's
That's
made
it.
up. So, yeah, I hear that a lot too.
What happened to our guest?
Oh,
Right.
she's here.
I accidentally
Oh.
spelled something, so I had to clean it up.
Oh. I wasn't sure if we were dropping. The Truth Bros might have been dropping too many truth bombs for our guest. Our guest couldn't handle
I'm gonna
the
lie
truth
to all of your
bombs.
truths.
I know she's on the same page, I think, with all the truth.
He is.
Except maybe flat Earth. That might
Well-
not be the.
It's not that I'm not on the same page, I just don't understand it.
Well, we would love to explain it.
All right, go for it.
Oh my god.
If you're she
If-
doesn't want to hear it.
if
She's not
you're
she's
open.
not ready, man. She doesn't want to. She's got to be ready for it. I mean, I don't want we don't want to waste our energy here.
Give her like 1. Give her like 5%.
Well, let me tell her what, like, one of the biggest things that convinced me was the fact that the horizon's always flat. That was the biggest ones for me that I somehow could not I couldn't fight against that. There was no rebuttal for that. Like, and that's the truth. You look at all the, look at the people fly their balloons up into the air, and they have the cameras hooked to them, and it goes all the way up until it pops.
Yeah.
And that entire time, that horizon is perfectly flat.
Yeah.
And we know mathematically, if the Earth were in fact a sphere, that it would not be completely straight across.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how big the ball is. It doesn't matter how big the Earth is. And when you go up, that horizon will go down below your eye level. That's how physics works, man. Psh.
That's how, the ball works.
Well, that's when you elevate above, a ball. If you're sitting on top of a ball, and you go above that, then you're going to be looking down at it. You're going to be looking down at that horizon. You're not going to be looking straight out across at it at eye level. The only way it would be at eye level, no matter how high up you go, is if that plane, if that surface goes like infinite, forever. That's the only way that it would stay flat like that. So that was the big one for me. I don't know. What about Dante? Which one's what was a big one, big convincer for you?
Yeah, what you just talked about, that the horizon is flat from your eye level. And
That's a huge one. That's a tough one to dispel.
yeah, and if you just look at your own perception, that you don't move, what NASA tells you, like that you're spinning, I don't know, 1,000 miles
Oh my
per
God.
hour, that you're moving across the galaxy.
Candace, have you heard that one? Do you know what they say about how fast the Earth spins?
No, I just know they say it's spinning, but not like how the speed of it.
1,000.
Well, so here's
Oh.
here's supposedly what's happening right now, as we're sitting very very peacefully on the, in our houses. So first of all, the Earth is supposedly spinning at what do they say?
1,000 miles.
1,000 miles per hour?
Spinning 1,000 miles per hour.
1,000 miles per hour. Spinning 1,000 miles per hour. Okay, that's one. That's just one factor here. Okay, so it's spinning 1,000 miles per hour. On top of that, we have the Earth spinning around the sun. And on top of that, we have the entire universe, or the entire I guess the galaxy, right? It would be the Milky Way galaxy, or our solar system.
Yeah.
Our solar system is supposedly traveling through the universe at some absolutely insane speed.
Billions.
Right? I don't even know what. Yeah, millions of miles per
hour. The sun is moving across the galaxy. It's moving forward.
Yeah.
And
we're spinning around it.
Yeah, all the planets are spinning around it.
And yet, the stars, when we look up, are always in the same spot. Polaris is always straight up at the north. I mean, would these stars and stuff be in the same spot if we were moving through the galaxy like that?
Right.
No way. They'd be all over the place, right? Polaris would be down over there. It'd be over there the next second. It wouldn't be so calculated like it is.
Right.
So yeah, that. It's just so ridiculous. And then they're changing the shape of it. I think right now they say that the shape.
Spheroid.
Yeah, it's an oblate. It's shaped like a
a
pear.
Yeah.
They say it's shaped. This is what NASA says. This is NASA. We confirm Earth looks like a pear. Okay.
But all the photos that they took.
Let's release this to the public. This is huge news.
All the photos they took it's a circle. It's a ball.
Perfectly round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now it's changed.
Now it's changed. It morphed.
Now it's changed. It evolved, man. It evolved.
Yeah. So it's just, the thing is that I think this is so important because it makes you realize that people will not actually use critical thinking, and they won't
Mm.
use their own experience and their own perception to make a decision on where they live. They'll listen to other people, hierarchies,
Yeah.
NASA, government, and they'll listen to their information, school, teachers, the educational system. They'll listen to them
Mm.
before they'll listen to their own sense. And I think if you can
Yep.
trick a person on the ground that you're standing on, if you can trick a person on the ground that you're standing on, then you can trick them into many things, into doing many things. And I think that's
Mm.
where it starts, because you're taught this in grade school. You're taught that the
Right.
earth is round and all this stuff. So if like
Oh, dude.
if you
Even before that, I mean, they have it in kids
Yeah.
shows, in little kids shows, and they're learning about it.
Yeah. So it's like if you could trick people on where you live, then you can trick them into anything. I think that's why it is
That's why they're
important.
doing it. That's why
That's
it's
why they're doing it, but that's why
right.
it is important.
And that's why it's being done. Yeah, and that's a good point, because that is one of the big like concerns that people have when you bring this up, that the flirt is that the earth is okay, that the earth is
Yeah.
flat. Is they're the first question in their head is why would they do it? They're like, what's the why would they do that? What's the reasoning behind that? And it's exactly what you said. It's to control the masses. It's to keep them living in a lie, so that they have no like guidance, so they just end up following whatever the presidents or whoever is telling them to
Yeah.
do. And that's the reason, to keep them in control. And that's just too scary for some people to grasp. The idea that there's like that there are evil people in this world that want to just control the masses.
Mm-hmm.
That for some people that's too much. Can't handle. Can't grasp
And
it.
also too, I think that people who can't believe it is that they're using their own ethics and their own morals and saying that, oh, like I could never do that, so how could anyone else
Right.
do that? And
Exactly.
it's like you can't measure,
Yeah.
you can't use your own ethics and morals to measure what other people will do. It's like people will do
Right.
things beyond your imagination.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, just look at our human history. Look at the just absolute atrocities that have been done by fellow human beings.
So who
I
could
mean,
think of that?
this isn't so far beyond what others have done in human history. This is not beyond that. It's just a sneakier way of controlling the people. It's just a more like evolved way of tricking and sneaking.
Right.
It has to become
That's all.
deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
It
Has
has
to
to
be what?
become more deceptive in order to be too
Exactly.
successful.
Yeah. Their trickery has evolved greatly. But it is I mean, it's funny because I remember when you first showed me the idea of it, and like immediately I fought against it.
Yeah.
Like my first reaction was to fight against
Yeah.
it, because it's such an absolute ingrained ideology that's taught to us. It's like such a foundational truth. Oh, we live on a globe, on a sphere,
Yeah.
of course. How dare you attack that? How dare you? But and then you have to really step outside and look at it logically.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing, I think, for people. You have to step outside your own belief system and just be like completely open to the idea of it. And then once you do that, you see how much it makes sense, how logical it is.
Yeah.
And it changes everything. Just like veganism, they both just change so much.
They do. I think you're right. The point is that when you hear information, you don't immediately take it into as truth, but you become open. So like when you start to open your mind and you actually listen, you don't pick a side yet, but you actually listen and become open. You take the information in, you understand it, and if it actually makes sense, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, is this I understand this. But you first have to open your mind. It's like just listening to the word, open your mind. You open the door and you invite truth to actually come in, and if it's not true, then the information will not pass. There's a blockage. I think there's something inside every human being that when you open your mind, information comes in. If the information is false, it really cannot pass through. It cannot come through. But you really you have to be in touch with yourself again. The more you know yourself, the more you're in touch with your intuition.
Right.
Coupling it with your knowledge and your critical thinking. When you have that set and you understand yourself and you hear information, then you start to really take it in.
You can discern truth very easily.
That's so important, is discernment. And I think we should have a discussion on discernment. Next topic.
We are, dude, right now, man.
I think when you challenge people,
Candace, what are your thoughts?
I mean,
Now I want to hear the non-flat earther.
Well, I mean, more than just like flat earth and just veganism, you're challenging people's paradigms, the way that they view life. So when you challenge people in that way, when you deliver a truth for them, that triggers some primal emotion. That triggers rage and like helplessness,
fight or flight.
Yeah, so it's like it is like you're shaking the very ground that they stand on, and so that
I love doing that, man.
Yeah, but
shake it up, man.
Once you know, there comes a level of responsibility with it, and people at all costs will avoid responsibility, because when you know and you still choose to make a decision that goes against what's not in what's disharmony, it's like you can't feel right. Like you just know. It's like once you open up Pandora's box, you can't close it. So it's like there's a sense of responsibility, and people rather just not take that responsibility. They rather I cannot be responsible for that.
Once you go flat, you never go back, man. That's what they say, right? That's the saying now, man.
That's the saying, yep.
Well, so Candace, I want to have a convincing to flat Earth over the I want to have it over the air so people can can witness it.
I'm not opposed.
What are your thoughts? What do you is it conceivable to you that the Earth is flat, or do you I know you don't really care, and that's fine. I mean,
yeah.
But do you does it make sense to you, or is it bogus, or what are your thoughts?
It does make sense. It's conceivable. I would like to consider myself a pretty open-minded person, so it's not when you told me, I wasn't that's not true, or that's BS. I didn't say it
is that true, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut me down.
So that shows right there that you're open and that you're.
With as much stuff as that I found out, it's hard to shoot down anything these days. So it's you just really don't know. There's so many there's so many things that just you thought were true that you find out are not true. So it's for me to say that that's not true, I really have no idea until I do my own research. It does make sense. So
yeah,
my interest is not as passionate as you guys.
Another one of the proofs that that made a lot of sense to me was the fact that the sun's rays come out at a bunch of different angles through the clouds. That was a big one for me too. When I saw that truth, because these are things that we don't even question, right? On a daily basis, we might look up and we might see the sun coming through the clouds, and it's coming out at a bunch of different angles, but we don't even step back and like analyze that and go, well, wait, why is it coming out at angles, right? Like the majority of people just accept that, and they just look at it and they go, oh, that's beautiful. There's the sun. It's the sunset. Yeah, whatever. It's awesome. Let's move on. We live on a sphere. Blah blah blah. But when you actually look at that, the physics of it, it doesn't add up for the ball Earth theory. In order to have a light that's up there that's spreading out rays like that, that would mean that, like, you can actually take a sextant, which measures like objects at a distance, and you can triangulate those rays. You can triangulate them just using very simple geometry, and you can find the point of origin from those rays. And if we do that with the sun, you very quickly come to the conclusion that it's not 93
Million.
What is it?
No,
Trillion?
millions.
No. I think is it million? Million miles?
Million, trillion, something crazy.
I think
yeah.
it's trillion.
I
I think it is. So if you actually measure it, or if you even think about it, that's just not possible. If the sun were massive, like they say it is, first of all, how much bigger do they say the sun is than the Earth? They say it's like gargantuan, right? Just totally, completely massive. If that were the case, and you had this huge, massive sun over here, and you have this teeny little Earth here, all these rays from the sun are going to be hitting that Earth at the same angle, right? It's like a huge thing. It wouldn't be hitting the Earth, and all of a sudden when it hits the Earth, divert into all these angled rays. That doesn't make any sense. It would hit the Earth with its entire beam of light, and the beams of light would go on the outsides of the Earth. Like we would see this massive light to the sides of the Earth, because if the sun were in fact that gargantuan, the light from the sun would be absolutely engulfing not only the Earth but the all of our surroundings of the Earth for however far away from Earth. So the only way that an object would be creating light rays like that were if it was close by to us, and if it was close to the clouds, if it was close by to the clouds so that it's angling out through the clouds. If it's way up above the clouds, it would be hitting the clouds all from the same rays. It wouldn't be hitting the clouds and diverting through that doesn't make any sense. Is that Candace, is that making any sense? It's a lot easier to I don't know, it's much easier to understand when I see it. It's kind of hard to explain it.
I mean, you talk about even how in daylight in the morning you still see the moon.
Yeah.
How can you have the sun and still be able to see the moon when, in theory, the sun reflects rays to the moon, and then the moon reflects rays back down to the Earth? That's not possible. It's not possible to see the moon at all if that way. And also with solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, it's like they fit perfectly. Also, even
with the flat Earth model,
if you check the temperature of the moon itself, is that the moon?
Yeah, I saw that one.
The moon is actually cooler. If you take a thermometer, it produces luminary lights. It's more cool lights. So it's cooler, and the sun is obviously hotter. So just those things. And then I think,
and plus,
go ahead.
something, well, a round object can't possibly reflect like the way that the moon
Right.
does. That's not possible for a round spherical object to reflect. Like only mirrors do that. Flat surfaces reflect.
Right.
Round objects don't reflect anything. Right? They can't. It's not how light rays work. Light rays don't bounce off of spheres like that. So yeah, it's just like with veganism. Once you start getting into it, it's so incredible how simple and how it was right in front of our noses the whole
Yeah.
time, and we just didn't see it, didn't even notice it. But it's like it's so blatantly obvious. It's just it's like, why didn't I know this before? Why couldn't I have realized this before?
Because the
Yeah.
fog was so
But-
heavy.
Yeah, so thick.
Too dense. Yeah.
There's so much energy poured
Too
into
dense.
keeping that fog there in front of you.
Yeah. But people are waking up, man, at an alarming rate. And I think it's only going to continue.
Mhm. And we're
Like
gonna
that.
continue this channel and spread.
Yes.
I think that's why there's one thing
And this
for
is actually-
control. Like all these things of like all these shootings and all this stuff, these set things, is because
Oh yeah.
people are asking more questions, and they're like, so we need to have more control
Right.
because we can't let this get out of hand. It's too
Mhm.
late.
Yep, they'll release the alien attack pretty soon, I
Yeah.
imagine, within a couple years, maybe.
And
that we're getting attacked by aliens and everyone has to stay indoors and lock all your doors and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
they're gonna hear us with that.
They'll probably try to do that. I mean,
what are
that's
their plans?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they've been building it up for years with all the movies and
Alien.
so many people
Mhm.
believe it and think that it's
Well,
true.
If anything, we're the alien.
But this is a good time to end, you guys.
This
I
is
gotta.
good. We did good content.
Yeah. This is good. I liked our guest here. She was a good energy
This is,
presence in the show.
She's heart very rare.
Yeah.
One of a kind.
She's a rare flower.
is.
She is.
Very rare.
All right, guys. Well, we will pick up in the next video
Absolutely.
then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Namaste.